I've been making art, crafts, and music most of my life, but I've never been able to stick to just one thing. I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. And you know what? That's okay. I follow my interests wherever they take me. My name is Shane, and this is Dark Photon Studio. Salutations, humans of the planet Earth. I've been avoiding this project for roughly a year. Why? Because it requires more modification of my guitar than I feel comfortable with. But we're jumping the gun. First, a little history about my guitar. This is my 1982 Iceman 2 IC50. This is how it looked when I bought it. Here it is in this original catalog scan I found online. It's the plain-looking budget version of the Iceman 2 and isn't nearly as nice as its big brother, the IC400. At some point in the 80s, because it's always the 80s, someone routed it out, dropped in a Kahler, and replaced the pickups with Gibson Dirty Fingers. I've contributed my own mods as well, such as the knobs and the pickguard. I also pulled out one of the Dirty Fingers pickups because it was dead. For a while, I had a P90 in the bridge, but I never clicked with it, so out it came. Also, I got tired of screwing around with the ultra-finicky Kahler, so out it came as well. That's where we are now. You might say, so what's the problem? Just slap a new bridge in and bam, Bob's your uncle. Well, you'd be wrong. Unfortunately, Ibanez didn't use the standard Gibson-style bridge. They use their own Gibraltar bridge and quick change tailpiece combination. The holes in the body don't match that of a Tune-o-matic style bridge. They're just too wide. And I don't have the budget for hunting down a vintage Gibraltar and quick change tailpiece combination. And I couldn't find a new one anywhere, or at least one that I would trust to fit properly. So we're still going to use a Tune-o-matic. In this case, a Wilkinson, and I'm going to sand the inside of the holes so that the new posts fit. But because the spacing of the Wilkinson is more narrow, I must oh so carefully sand the holes slightly offset inward and off-center. I don't have any of the right tools for this, so my fear is that it might not line up correctly. But after a lot of grinding away and repeatedly checking the fit to make sure it was on track, it still didn't line up correctly. So I gave it a bit of gentle encouragement. Hopefully I'll be able to adjust the intonation properly. I went back and forth on what to do with this hole where the Kahler used to be. At first I was thinking about using a metal plate to cover it up with and carving some sort of design into it. And then I thought about filling the hole with a block of wood. But in the end, I decided to go with this same black perloid material I used on the pickguard. I made a paper template, then transferred it to the pickguard blank. Then cut it out. I used a file to create a bevel around the edge of the pickguard. Everything was going well, but then I discovered it got in the way of the bridge.
Oh no.
Chonk tipped the scales at 385. That's
Oh dear.
4 kilos of just pure glypsides.
Hmm.
How are they not
Okay,
just having a
we got a
world
problem.
and gravity takes them right off?
You know what's fun?
We got a big problem.
Learn a lot when they're kids. Mama
Yep.
Malcolm is below her kids.
After a bit of modification, I got it to fit. Unfortunately, it looks a bit crap, so I took it off. I designed a replacement, but I wanted to get this video out, so I'll finish it later. I was going to pull out this Dirty Fingers pickup. It's loud but kind of sterile, but my tone has evolved a bit over the last couple of years, so I think I'll give it another try. For the bridge pickup, I'm adding a Warman 12 gauge. The Warman is a high-gain passive pickup, and I think it sounds pretty great. It's also the same pickup I have in my Yamaha Pacifica. Yeah, I know, my soldering is terrible. Before putting strings back on, I need to round off the corners of the fretboard a bit, as they are just a little too sharp to be comfortable. I'm using a simple nail sanding board thingy and following it up with some fine steel wool, because that's what I have. I also oiled the board. The light wood peeking through where the paint is chipped away doesn't look good to me, so I darken the wood around the jack and other damaged spots. I'm just using acrylic paint to do some simple weathering. It's a wash of black and then brown that I dab away at so it builds up in the corners more, which gives it a natural-ish appearance of dirt building up over time. I was all ready to put some strings on it, so I went to my string stash to grab some 10s and then realized I had no stash. So one Amazon order, and a day later, I got the strings. I put them on off screen because watching somebody install strings and stretch them is really boring. And amazingly, the intonation was perfect. I don't know how that happened, but it was good, and I didn't have to adjust the saddles at all. It still needs some shielding and cosmetic work, but for now, it's done. I guess it's time for a demo.
I am an atomic playboy, exploding these bombs to satisfy my personal whim. 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 I am an atomic playboy. The bomb will start a chain reaction and destroy gravity. The bomb will start a chain reaction and destroy gravity. The bomb will start a chain reaction and destroy gravity. Start a chain reaction. Start a chain reaction. I am an atomic playboy.
There were mistakes made. You may have noticed on the fretboard here that the strings are just a little too far this way. The Ibanez bridge was wider than a standard Les Paul, I assume. And consequently, the fretboard flares out wider towards the bottom than a standard Les Paul. On the other hand, that gave me a bit more wiggle room for my janky modifications. So hopefully this wasn't all too traumatizing. Maybe someday I'll plug all the holes and have it properly refinished. But until then, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. So that way you don't miss the next episode. And in the next episode, well, I haven't really decided what I'm going to do, but it might involve paper mache.